Let's go to the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Getting up with us this morning, Felger and Mazz filling in for Toucher and Hardy. Mike Reiss from ESPN. Michael, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Mike, Tony, Jim. Have they opened the bathrooms yet? That's what I want to know. And how are you guys dealing with that?
I was finally able to get in. Yeah, the key card wasn't working, Mike, but we potentially had a real problem there.
Mike, thanks for taking the time this morning. We really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. I've been doing it with the guys 7:20 every Monday. It's been great. And then Tuesdays with Zoe and Beetle at 11. So it's been a great setup. I love being with the station.
When you get started, like, how much grab ass do you do here before they ask you a football question? Is there like what's the appropriate level of chit chat before we start talking football?
We can get right into it.
Are you with Patriots fans? Are you frustrated watching the Kansas City Chiefs getting flags and Patrick Mahomes getting flags? How do you view that?
Not so much, Mike. I think I'm with you guys. I've been listening. I think the second one was the one where I'm like, come on. And then comparing it to Lamar in the Ravens-Bills game, and I thought he got hauled down out of bounds, and there was no call. I don't know if you guys thought those were – I mean, they were different in the sense that, the intent of Mahomes seemed like he was, I'm with you. So I was a little frustrated at the call, but I thought, to me, the Chiefs were going to beat the Texans anyway.
Do you view it as Mahomes just getting what Brady got, or is it somehow worse?
I view it like that, Mike. I think it's similar to the Brady stuff. In fact, I had that thought. I said, geez, this must be what the rest of the country thought when we were in the golden era of Brady and the Patriots.
Yeah, be careful, Mike. The Patriots fans are going to turn on you. They'll be very disappointed in you, Mike.
Hey, Tony, that's sort of the way I view it. I mean, I got to tell you my honest opinion, right?
When you watch the weekend games, Michael, how do you, and you put in a Patriots context, what do you think? Do you think how far away the Patriots are? Do you feel the league's gone in a certain way where they have to build themselves a certain way to compete with the teams that we're seeing this weekend? How do you put it all in a Patriots context?
So I start with the Bills just because that's the team they have to beat, and I've always thought, Mike, like if the Bills finally get one, that's going to make it even harder. And then I look at it from the Jaden Daniels standpoint where, you see how he's elevated Washington. And I do agree with Jim where he said, like, I think Jaden's a cut above Drake, but can Drake ultimately become that? Those are sort of my two Patriots-specific takeaways from the weekend.
Going into the draft, did you have a Mike Reiss big board? Did you have Jaden Daniels ahead of Drake May?
I did. And I think if the Patriots were, if they had that choice, I think it would have been Jaden.
Yeah, I remember you saying this on with Zoe and Beetle. And I was like, all right. See, they knew too.
Yeah.
So that's how the Pats had their board stacked as well.
I don't know that, Mike, but that was what my sense was coming out of it. No one ever really told me that. But I think the thing on Jaden Daniels was like I had the Joe Burrow comps, that people thought they told me, be careful. He's not just a runner. He's actually a great processor. And as long as the body armor holds up, that's sort of the scouting term, he's going to be just fine. So, and I think the experience, more than double the starts of Drake, was a decided advantage to him.
Mike, is there anyone on these four remaining coaching staffs or maybe from some teams this past weekend that lost, like the Rams, that Mike Vrabel and the Patriots might look to poach from?
I think so. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned it, Jim, because, Mike, that was another takeaway I had from the weekend. I actually think the results of the games might help the Patriots from a standpoint of getting their staff together quicker, because the Lions defensive line coach and run game coordinator Terrell Williams, I think, is going to be in the conversation for defensive coordinator here in New England. So the fact that the Lions were upset makes him available now. And then with the Rams, I don't know this, but there's some connections between the organizations that I think could make some of their staff, even like Ernie Adams type guy that was Vrabel's guy in Tennessee, he would be available potentially to come, and maybe even some of their offensive coaches. If that's the blind spot for me, guys, is what is Vrabel thinking offensive coordinator wise. That's the one spot that's been tough to drill down on for me.
Right. So I was just going to ask you that. So do you think if it were up to Vrabel, I mean, I guess this is the question that I ask, because people have always, linked Josh McDaniels here. Is that because Josh McDaniels is a Mike Vrabel guy, or because Josh Daniels is a Robert Kraft guy?
So I think it's because McDaniels is a Patriots guy and he still lives here, and if it all fits and he's done it before, it would work. But I actually think, he's never coached with Mike Vrabel, and I think that's significant. The relationship between a coach and a player is different than a coach and a coach. So that's my thought on that, and I think Josh is going to be part of the mix. I think Mike said that publicly. But I haven't sensed that he would be Mike's top choice right now, but that might change as the process takes shape.
So, Mike, do you have a big board as it pertains to the OC? Do you look at a group of 3 guys or something and say, I think it's going to be from this group?
Tony, this is the hardest thing because I don't know. I think it could go in a number of different directions. We know of 2 people that they've either talked to or requested to talk to: Thomas Brown, the passing coordinator of the Bears, and Marcus Brady, passing game coordinator of the Chargers. And I don't sense that either of those would be up at the top of the list. To be frank, I think part of that could be tied to compliance with league rules. So take those 2 off to the side there, and they're part of the conversation because we know that that's been reported. I look at it and say, what did Vrabel do in the past? When he went to Tennessee, he was looking at Ryan Day as his offensive coordinator. Day ultimately stayed at Ohio State. So that was his initial thought. But then he ended up going with Matt LaFleur from the Rams under McVay. So does he consider the same type of approach with Mike LaFleur, the Rams offensive coordinator, or the Rams quarterbacks coach, Dave Ragone, who was an offensive coordinator under Arthur Smith? So it starts to get into all these connections, but I don't have any firm reporting on what Mike is specifically thinking in which direction he wants to go.
Again, Mike Reiss joining us here from ESPN. So do you think, given his, again, so you mentioned the hires there in Tennessee, they were West Coast guys. They weren't the old they weren't the old Patriots offense. It was the West Coast, and Alex Van Pelt runs a version of the West Coast. So I think this is going to be an interesting thing. It's going to, I think, be a tell, Mike, a little bit about just how much control Vrabel has, which has started. Did you get the sense inside the walls at Gillette that Mike has already started to carve out some power? The Robyn Glaser news, which you reported on at the end of last week, as a part of that whole thing.
I do, Mike, and I think people that have been in there have noted that. I think a new strength coach. Already maybe, around the area. So people have noticed some new faces coming in there that are specifically tied to Mike. And I do think that how much power and control he has, I think it is significant, Mike, to come in there and shape this in his image.
Can we just spend a second on Robyn Glaser? Because it's
sure.
No one knows, on the outside, no one knows who she is or what she does or what she did, but she's become like the boogeyman. She's become this this dog whistle, if you will, sort of a sign of ownership interference and meddling and over aggressive. I don't know exactly how to put this, but it started with those Seth Wickersham stories late last year, where Bill and the football people feared John Kraft and Robyn Glaser would be taking over football decisions. And then when Bill gets fired, and this spring, he and Lombardi keep mentioning Robyn Glaser, like the big bad Robyn Glaser. No one has any idea what she even did. And now she's out. So, Mike, what did she do, and why are the football people so bent out of shape about Robyn Glaser?
All right, so hopefully I can make a complex thing simple here. Basically, if I had to boil it down, one of the main things Robyn Glaser did was handle all the league business and relations with the league, including compliance. So, Mike, there's so many rules that you have to follow, and she was in charge of making sure the Patriots did that. And so I think just by nature of that position, you have team business and you have league business. And you have to make sure what the team and Bill Belichick football might be thinking, we're doing this. And then you have this gatekeeper that says, okay, if we do this, we just have to make sure that we're following the league rules. So by nature, there is a little bit of conflict, friction between those roles. Does that make
Bill
sense,
and Lombardi?
Mike?
Yeah, but okay, how come Lombardi and Bill have, really made her the bag? It really
Robyn
made
Glaser.
sure. Exactly. Every time Bill's asked about it, John and Robyn Glaser, like, why is he doing that?
I don't know. Maybe it's about control, and if you feel like you're losing some control based on that dynamic, I honestly don't know.
So so she was kind of like OSHA, right? Like, no, really.
But if she's just that,
policing the police.
Yeah, right.
Like, so she's not picking edge rushers or something, or
No.
is she the go-between between Bill and ownership when it comes to football budget? I mean,
yes. She was involved in some of that, Mike, and everything from that to legal to human relations, human resources. She did a lot.
It's so weird. Like, she appeared in the documentary, but she's never done an interview that I know of. No one can figure who she. But like, Bill gets fired. Robyn Glaser. Mike comes in. Rabel comes in.
Mike.
In the first couple of days, she's out. It's like, who is this person? What is she doing?
How about this? And maybe this is simplifying it too much, but it might come down to simple loyalties, right? Like, who's your loyalties to? And you covered Bill, and I think you could probably speak to this yourself. Like, if Robyn's loyalties are to the Crafts, like, she came in 2007, and I believe was very close with them. And so maybe as things started to, I don't want to say like with Bill, if Bill felt like things were slipping away from his grip in the organization, he's going to be looking around and saying, who's loyal to me? Mike Lombardi. I know he's always got my back. Right. And so that might explain the dynamic a little bit.
Okay, Mike, before we let you go, are you expecting anything on the staff this week? Do you think things could happen?
I sort of do, Mike. I sort of do. And it might be as simple as they might retain some guys like special teams coordinators, stuff like that. But I do think the results this weekend will speed things along a little bit in some areas.
Okay. Who do you like in the games?
I think I'm going Buffalo. I'm sorry. Sorry about that, Jim. And I'll stick with the Eagles at home, but don't feel great about it. Very impressed with Jaden Daniels.
Okay, Mike, thanks again for taking the time for us. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike, see you later.
Always, guys. Great being with you. Thanks, guys.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.